Donald Trump has won the election and has already begun the transition to his administration. Immigration was the central issue that defined this election. But what does this mean for immigrants? And what does it mean for you and your loved ones waiting for a U.S. immigration visa to be processed? Trump has pledged the largest mass deportation effort in history. Is this achievable? What changes could be on the horizon? Stay with us as we dive into the potential shifts in immigration policy and share our insights on what might happen with detentions and deportations. Don't miss the end of the video, where we'll discuss actionable steps you can take right now to prepare. We understand that many of you are feeling anxious about your immigration status and what the future holds for you and your loved ones. You are not alone. We're here to support you through these uncertain times. Here's what we know. While changes are likely, we do not anticipate large-scale deportations. However, you may encounter delays or additional requests for evidence as administrative transitions often slow processes. For those with pending cases, there's no need to fear the loss of protections like VAWA or T visas. They're safeguarded by law. Additionally, the courts remain a critical check on overly restrictive measures. We'll address your concerns and provide updates as new rules emerge. Together, we'll navigate this period of change. First, Trump could try to bring back the Remain in Mexico program, where people had to wait for their cases in Mexico, not in the U.S. This program could be expanded to other countries. Asylum could become harder to win, with millions of pending cases in the immigration court in USCIS. Trump may try to expedite new cases. For work permits, during Trump's presidency, it took at least a year to get a work permit after applying for asylum, instead of the current 180 days. Work permits were granted for 2 years instead of the current 5 years. He also attempted to make it harder for immigrants who entered without permission to get a work permit. Second, obtaining a family-based green card could become more difficult and costly. The public charge rule aimed to exclude low-income immigrants with limited education, older age, or those likely to seek public assistance. An extra form, the infamous I-944, was introduced, creating chaos and complicating cases. Third, processes for green cards, visas, work, and travel permits are likely to slow down. Interviews for cases that don't currently require an interview and requests for additional documentation or evidence could become more common. USCIS, immigration courts, ICE, CBP, and consulates worldwide may see a cultural shift as Trump appoints new directors for these agencies, altering their policies and goals. Rejection rates could increase, and Trump now has a supportive Supreme Court with a 6-3 majority, making judicial challenges harder to win. Fourth, Trump prioritized American workers with his America First policy, resulting in more restrictions on H-1B and H-2B work visas. These restrictions could return during his new term. Fifth, border control could become much stricter. Trump implemented Title 42 during the pandemic to quickly expel people without due process. Although there's no pandemic now, Trump's advisors are suggesting reinstating it for other health emergencies. The CBP One app, which allows immigrants without documents to book an appointment at the border and request protection, could be eliminated. Sixth, Trump talked about canceling humanitarian parole during his campaign. As for TPS, when an administration doesn't want to extend it, they usually wait for it to expire and then don't renew it. Courts blocked this attempt during Trump's previous term, but now he has a favorable Supreme Court, so this could happen. Seventh, Trump might eliminate deportation priorities on his first day in office. This means that ICE wouldn't just focus on immigrants with a criminal record or those considered a threat to public safety or national security. Instead, any undocumented immigrant could potentially be detained and deported. There's already talk about reinstating workplace raids and conducting mass arrests in work environments. Additionally, Trump's advisors are discussing a proposal to deport millions of undocumented immigrants and have them await deportation in newly constructed detention centers in Texas. While deportations may increase, deporting all undocumented individuals is unlikely due to the massive number and extensive resources required. Temporary visa for human trafficking victims, also known as T visa processing, normally takes 1.5 to 2 years. Deportees may still qualify. I-485 times vary. Trump-era policies slowed immigration processes. Approvals likely stable, but more evidence requests expected with the existing applications, new applications uncertain. Explore permanent options if concerned. Proactive steps recommended despite backlogs. Now, let's talk about student visas. Based on Trump's previous term and current rhetoric, we can anticipate several potential impacts. First, stricter visa regulations. There may be increased scrutiny and more rigorous vetting processes for student visa applications, leading to longer processing times and higher chances of rejection. Next, OPT program changes. The Optional Practical Training (OPT) program, which allows international students to work in the U.S. after graduation, might face restrictions. This could particularly affect students in STEM fields who rely on the 24-month extension. Third, increased uncertainty. Students from countries with strained relations with the U.S. might face additional challenges in renewing their visas or even obtaining them in the first place. Lastly, impact on higher education. Universities could see a decline in international student enrollment, which would affect their revenue and the diversity of their student bodies. Overall, the new administration's policies could make it more challenging for international students to study and work in the U.S., potentially limiting opportunities for academic and professional growth. Finally, let us discuss the impact of the Trump presidency on I-130 visa processing. What is I-130? The I-130 is an application for a U.S. visa by immediate family members. For decades, it was one of the easiest visas to obtain. Let's start with historical context. Pre-pandemic processing times. Before the pandemic, the processing time for I-130 applications was typically less than 12 months. Pandemic delays. During the pandemic, delays began to grow significantly. Here is the Biden administration's impact on I-130 processing. Open border policy. The Biden administration's open border policy allowed a significant number of illegal immigrants to enter the USA and obtain green cards. Resource allocation. This influx diverted USCIS resources, extending the delay for legal I-130 applications. Current delays. Many applicants have now been waiting for more than 5 years. What was an exception then has become the norm now. Trump administration's expected changes. Stricter immigration policies. The Trump administration is expected to implement more stringent immigration policies, which could further impact the I-130 process. Increased scrutiny. Applications may undergo more thorough background checks and stricter documentation requirements. Longer processing times. Expect possible delays due to policy changes and reallocation of resources. What can you do? Stay informed. Regularly check your application status through the USCIS Case Status online tool. Be responsive. Respond promptly to any requests for additional information from USCIS to avoid further delays. Seek legal advice. Consider consulting with an immigration attorney if your case has complexities. Conclusion. Summary. The Trump administration's policies are likely to make the I-130 visa process more challenging, with increased scrutiny and longer processing times. Call to action. Stay informed and proactively navigate these changes effectively. This is what you need to do urgently. 1. Legalize your stay. If you are in the USA illegally, please take steps to legalize your stay or consider leaving the country. There are several ways to do this, which we discuss in other videos. 2. Parole in place. If you have a parole in place, try to secure an earlier appointment. 3. Emergency appointment. If you are eligible and can afford it, try to get an emergency appointment. We have covered this process in our previous videos. We understand that this news may be unsettling for many of you. It's crucial to stay informed and take proactive steps to prepare for these potential changes. If you've been postponing your immigration application, now might be the right time to begin the process before Trump assumes office on January 20th. Make sure to consult with a legal expert before making any decisions. There is also a possibility that President Biden may use his remaining time in office to implement some protective measures, but we will have to wait and see. Please share this video with your friends and family to keep them informed. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any updates. Stay safe, stay informed, and best of luck in your journey to come to America and achieve the American dream.